Hey, everybody. This week's episode of Press for Time is an exclusive opportunity for us to sit with the head of gaming and events at Zenni Optical. We're going to sit with Robb today and learn about what they're about, what they offer, and also a new recent announcement that was made about a partnership between Zenni Optical and the fighting tournament known as Evo. Stay tuned in this next episode of Press for Time. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing? Good morning on your side.
Morning.
How are you?
Time zones. Oh, I'm great. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much for joining us. This is a really great opportunity because, again, we've learned that there's some news on the forefront with your company and a new partnership, as we talked about with Evo. So for those that are not familiar, if you're into any type of esports, Evo is the tournament of tournaments. And I think this is a great partnership, and I'd love to learn more about that. But first, if you don't mind, can you let our viewers know a little bit about you, Robb?
No, absolutely not.
Show is over, I guess. Everybody.
Yeah, great. I'm Robb. I am the head of gaming, sports, and events at Zenni Optical. Amazing. And we could talk more about that, but just love being a part of that company. It is so awesome. But my background is varied. I joke about being much older than I look when I talk about these things. Whole career in telecom, but I was always a gamer. I came up through playing in the arcades. I even turned it on for you just to get a little snip. I'm an arcade rat, right? I'm that person. I don't normally turn it on, but I put it on just for you today. But playing the arcade games, I was so fortunate to get transition from a player and organizer and actually get into the industry. And I've spent a career working at IGN, at Blizzard, at Ubisoft, doing a bunch of stuff in the nonprofit space around gaming and voting, and lots of other cool things before I landed here at Zenni and helping build our partnerships and portfolios with other brands out there in the space around gaming and other things.
That's fantastic. I have to say, I definitely looked at your resume and I was highly impressed. It's great to see the diversity from the different companies, obviously within the same space. But again, monsters like IGN and Blizzard, that's really, really cool to see. The one thing I wanted to ask you, I know that Zenni Optical is not traditionally, let's say, gaming optics, as far as the original company, right? I believe they are glasses first for kind of everybody. And we're into like kind of evolving with these newer styles, right? Would that be correct?
So let me talk about Zenni for a minute, since it's a great segue. So Zenni is all about our mission, and our mission is eyewear for everyone. It's about creating affordable, accessible eyewear for everybody, and seeing better, living better is a little bit of our motto. And however that manifests over time, it's really about helping people have access to eyesight and vision and things like that, and prolong it. And so when you think about Zenni, the way that we work is you go on our site and you find a pair of frames that you like, and you either make them prescription or not. And then you walk through the process of layering technology on it, whether you wanted blue light blocking, like our blocks technology, or migraine lenses, or sunglasses, or whatever that is. It's very customized. They get shipped to you at home, right? We cut out a lot of the other components that may drive up the costs of what happens in there, but it's all about helping people see and protect their eyes. And so we've done blocks for years. It's actually one of our most prominent products, where people layer in that blocks technology to block blue light, et cetera, like that. So it's not new in that respect. And we've been in the gaming space before with previous partnerships in the before times before I was there. And now we're really revisiting about how we engage with that audience. I mean, I know folks like to call gamers something different, but I make jokes about we don't call people who watch movies movieers or something like that. Gaming is so everywhere, and I'm not saying everyone plays games, but I think that the more generations that come out, they do. It's part of their culture. It's part of who they are. And so while it's a different group and they like to identify as such, they're just humans at the end of the day, and they have eyesight, which is a depreciable asset. So how do we help them stay sighted?
That's a great way to explain it. Honestly, truthfully, we all forget. We may not all be movieers or gamers, but we all have mobile devices that essentially carry our lives. So we're utilizing a screen that has access to just about everything. And people take that for granted sometimes. So one of the biggest things that can happen is wear and tear on our eyes, right? So between monitors, watching YouTube, whatever it may be, streaming a game, or just playing the game yourself, there's a lot of talk, more so I'd say within the last maybe decade or so, where there's really been an active movement, having gamers be a little more mindful on protecting their eyes and things like that.
Yeah,
So
I've been so lucky to be a part of this community for so long. I've seen the rise of nutrition, which is just silly when we think about like nutrition wasn't a thing that was super important when you think about esports players, esports teams, or bringing on nutritionists in the last bunch of years to help make sure that they're staying healthy and things like that. Mental health is an ongoing, and you see that on the rise right now, more awareness around mental health things and issues like that. Eye health is right up there with those things. It's just as important, I think, to the holistic environment of gamers or people everywhere. Like I joke about my wife's an accountant, and she arguably spends more time in front of spreadsheets than most gamers do in front of their screens playing games. So it's all that commonality across all these devices and things that we do. So
very true. So I wanted to ask, as far as the different tints and the designs that you've come out with blocks, that's so for me, it's a new introduction, and I think it is a really, really fascinating way to kind of introduce somebody that's not, familiar with it. Because I'll be honest, a lot of my experience from the idea of glasses for screenwear and things like that with blue light is when they're very heavy on the gaming aspect. It's like it's for gamers, so we're gonna have a gamer theme around it, and it seems to be that's not a big focus, at least from what's released now, because it looks like you are focusing on the product itself, which is what the company stands for. But I think that the design and the color tone differences and having a focus upon the importance of each color. Where did you guys come up with that idea as far as having kind of a message that relates to what color you're choosing?
Okay, sounds like so. There's a couple things there, but let's talk about like blue light technology for a second. And so, like, and I don't want to get too product focused, so like the fans and things like that. We'll definitely talk about other things, people. But when you think about blue light blocking, you think about either clear lenses, which are something that we still have, and then you have the yellow lenses, which are the most common that you see out there, and those are like identified as the blue light because they block the wavelengths of light that may or may not affect your eyesight, right? Whether it's the fatigue or whether it helps your melatonin levels later and helping you sleep and helping block all that stuff. Those are the ones that most people are associated with, and they're traditionally thought of as gamers because we didn't think about accountants going back to that thing. And gaming is just an audience just like tweens or other things, right? And so when you're talking about products and marketing and how do you address and speak to, you try and find those commonalities in those places where people use it. So there's a use case for gamers wearing gaming glasses or glasses that help them with their craft. And so with gaming, personalization is huge. The self identity, your gamer handle is what it is, right? Things like that. When you play a game, you probably customize your character to some degree. Some don't, some do. Like all these different manifestations, because there are personas in that world, in the gaming world, wherever that might be, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's or X, whatever the flavor they are today. Sorry, nothing against them, but or in your favorite game and things like that. And out of the world, allowing us to personalize our personas in the same way, our real life people, it's just a natural step for us. And so some of the products that we brought out that are kind of gaming centric or along those lines are like our blue light blocking technology, which is blocks plus tints, which I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing one of the flavors right now. So this is our rose one. I can put on our purple one as an example, right? You see the different hues. And
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have some really cool colors, and I have them all. I'm not here to display them all, but I have them all because I'm testing them myself and playing with them. We just released these last month. But again, it's just letting people have their own profile persona along with their blue light passes when they're doing stuff. I like to match, usually I match my frames with my pocket square. Now I get to add in the frame or the lens in my actual blazer or things like that. So just personalization. Another thing that we released that people don't think about is like VR lenses. And I'll talk about this. I think we want to talk a little bit about other gaming genres and stuff. But VR lenses, like we actually made custom inserts with the Meta Quest 3s that you can actually snap your prescription right inside those lenses. Instead of trying to wear glasses, awesome. Slack those over the thing. $50 inserts with your prescription, so you can actually wear them and have comfort when you're actually wearing your VR experiences and stuff. So super cool things.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that, again, you're going right into a great partnership. We can segue right into Evo, which is important here because I'm a fighting game guy my whole life. I am a Marvel versus Capcom diehard. So seeing that I have mine in my bedroom, my wife allows that, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
I have a hoodie that I've had for over 25 years. Just
yeah. It's
been taken for So it's great to see, a lot of these types of games getting the love that, they got, but they really have grown You have all these different fighting games. You have all the different free to play games like Fortnite, things like that. But why do you feel that Evo was the partnership that would work great? I think it sounds like a match made in heaven. I just would like to see if there's a little more thoughts on why you felt that might have been a good place to
Yeah.
start.
And let me talk about my philosophy when it comes to partnerships. I kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but like for me, the message I'm bringing to the gaming community or any community, any of the partnerships, is around eye health, eye awareness, full stop, right? Products are a solution to those things. So if you think about whether somebody needs corrective vision or not, I mean, when was the last time you got your eyes checked? Okay, well, strike one,
Exactly.
right? So, like you should be doing that on an ongoing basis. Eyesight is a depreciable asset. Everyone will need glasses unless they pass away before they do. You'll need something. You'll need readers. You'll need something to help because eyesight just deteriorates. This is what happens. And so that's the corrective side of it. The preventative side is how do we prolong? I'm not going to tell you you're going to play better because you're wearing blocks plus tints. That's not a message I would share with anyone. I
Right.
think that you will prolong the level of performance that you have as long as you can, right? So how are you protecting your eyes, whether it's blue light glasses, where it's sunglasses? Most people don't argue that wearing sunglasses is a good idea, right? Okay, then you should wear
Correct.
sunglasses at least, and blue light glasses or your indoor sunglasses, as it were, right? So there's the performance side of things and prevention. The last one is just style. Like I just mentioned, matching things like that, or people like to have some kind of large profile, whatever that is that kind of just speaks to them and like they like that persona. With that, it applies to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or 80, Zenni or eyesight, eye health awareness applies to you. So in working with these various partnerships, it's about how can we speak, not we, but like how can we speak together to an audience and help spread the message of eye health and awareness, right? And I think the way I am approaching a lot of these partnerships is traditionally you'll see advertisements. It's like our message shoved into an audience like that, right? Here's our marketing message, here's our thing, and here's how we wanted you to talk about us. I am taking a different approach. It's like, hey, we're working together to create eye health. You know your audience, you have a relationship, just like you, yourself, and your audience for this podcast. You have an audience and a way and a conversation of speaking with them that resonates with them. That's why they're your fans or your audience, or however you want to denote them. I don't want to come in and disrupt and talk to them. I want you to be able to have that relationship and include us into that conversation. And if they decide to buy Zennies, awesome. If that's the choice that they make to help prevent their eyes, that's an amazing win for all of us. But I think the big win is, hey, we've helped generations and audiences help really think about their eye health and awareness, right? Like, oh, I need to be protecting my eyes, right? I need to get my eyes checked. Right. I think that's the way we're doing it. And so Evo has an audience, has a relationship, massive fan base. And besides my ties in the fighting game community and why it's so important to me, like that's just a great place for us to help deliver that education.
Well said. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, thinking about that type of event, everybody's staring at screens, whether you're actually competing or not. So it makes a lot of sense. And I think you really touched on a couple of important aspects because we do take our eyesight for granted. I feel just like our phones, a lot of things in life. You feel like everybody's in front of a screen a lot more than ever once we had our little pandemic and everything just became having to be on a computer or a laptop and people started realizing the eye strain and the wear and tear. I think that kind of elevated that concern for improving and managing the eye health. So I think it's a great performance aspect to really consider.
Yeah, and on top of that, like forget even pandemics and changes because of things happen. Just think of the generation that, like, I joke about and Star Wars things, but like a microwave came into my home, right? Like we didn't have a microwave at one point. I'm old enough to like that was something we bought and brought in the homes. Who now in this generation doesn't already have one in their house? It's not technology to them. It's not something new. Cell phones. I've seen the rise of cell phones into smartphones, right? My youngest kids have grown up in a world where there's always smartphones. For them, it's not technology. It's not a change. It's not like the pandemic did anything. I'm just going to make that up as an
Yeah,
example.
of course.
Right? Just kids interact with screens at an earlier age. It's just what they do. And so, like, we have yet to see the real repercussions to their eyesight. What really happens to this generation of kids that are 8 years old now that are in front of a screen all these hours a day on top of their work life and things? What will that do to eyesight over time? And so, like, that education component and having people consider this is something important, I think is just so crucial for all these kids and adults, but like really looking ahead, going, all these kids
Yeah,
that are coming out today, what is their life going to be like? And what is eyesight going to mean to them?
that's a very good point. Again, you don't think about that stuff because you live your day to day, you go through the grind. Everything has become kind of second nature for us. And I'm like you, where I feel a lot of people don't really know my age, but I'm an 80s guy, so I've been around as well, and I've seen a lot of that technology, and I see with my 8-year-old the same idea of, he was born into having touchscreens. So
Yeah.
to him, everything is touchscreen. And for me, I'm like, I remember CRTs. You couldn't touch it, and so it's I think it's a really great value prop that your company is offering, truthfully, and I'm glad we could share that here because realistically, um, again, there's always a product focus, but I think a story goes hand in hand very well. And when there's a message to relay to it, again, with a lot of other glass companies, you don't hear that too much. You hear gaming, 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 but this is more like lifestyle and health awareness. So I appreciate you sharing that insight.
Yeah, thanks. Like we're bigger than that. Like in that we offer products to all the humans, right? It doesn't matter. It's not like we have just this niche product that we're selling to people. I've got some cool stuff coming, and that will be some interesting products later. But like that's not necessarily there's use cases for anything, right? But like it's really about eyesight and the humans, and gaming just happens to be one of the places that we can speak to them.
That makes sense. So I'd like to ask a little bit about with the Evo partnership. Obviously you may not be able to disclose too many details, but you mentioned that there are stuff in the works. Do you feel like there are the opportunity, of course, for those fans that look for that type of special design to personalize, where maybe partnership with certain games and licenses? Do you see something like that in the forefront in the near future?
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to again, that I think that's really cool. That was a big question I had in my head because again, having that partnership visibility, the one thing that an average user will see, how are these companies connected other than
Yeah,
the message?
like the joy of it is like again, like we have thousands upon thousands of frames on our site as an example of product, right? Do we make special branded products for different partnerships? Absolutely. So like, and that's just so fans, you're wearing a Marvel hat, right? It's just an example. Like you made that step to going, not only am I a fan of all this media and all these other things, I want to buy this that I could wear. It's the same way with products. It's like, hey, we're going to give people a choice if they would love to have Evo branded stuff and things. Absolutely. You want to buy an Evo hoodie and a pair of Evo glasses from Zenni? Awesome. Right. And if you don't, there's a bazillion other ones that we have on there that you can pick out and do like that. So there's an opportunity for fans to take that final step because not everybody buys a Marvel hat, right? Not everybody's
Right.
going to buy a pair of Evo eyewear, but they might buy something else. You probably have other hats that are not branded.
It's mostly Marvel, but I get you.
You get the direction I'm weaving with that.
Oh,
So,
I know.
yeah,
No, absolutely. No, it makes a lot of sense. So let's get a little more into you now. Let's talk about you as a fan, as a gamer, as a Star Wars nut.
yeah. Okay.
And with Evo,
Sure.
do you feel that we need a Star Wars game that's going to be an esports related game?
So speaking from experience, like licensed IP is hard, right? There's been
Of
some
course.
great wins with the Marvel series, right? As an example of that, like we just showed and things like. And there's lots of games that do well with the IPs. It just depends on what kind of latitude. One of my favorite, like with connecting fighting games and Star Wars, is Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi. You ever play that game?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 97 title and stuff. And I love the idea of that. It was executed less than awesomely, but like that would be really interesting to see like a Marvel-esque crossover Star Wars, like a Star Wars brand, like especially when you think of Disney and the properties they have. I think there could be some cool interjection into that. I'd love to see it just as a fan. I mean, we've seen little things. You've seen Yoda and the Apprentice show up in Soul Calibur, right? There's been little hints, but like a game centered around them. Like I love the idea of like a Battlefront like concept, but I would love it to be something more connected. The problem with esports, so like there's me as a fan as a game. Like I would love a Star Wars version of Helldivers. Like I would love that. I would love
Wow.
something like
Yeah.
that because I like collaborative play now. I've gotten past the point where I compete because I just can't have the time. But I'd love to see some kind of collaborative thing like that in that universe, right? Where there's some kind of PvP component and things. But yeah, so yeah, I'd love to see
Okay.
it again.
As a gamer, what's one of the games that you're playing now that you love? E-
Helldivers a little
I
bit.
was,
I
I
still
was
play.
saying it doesn't have to be esports,
I'm
but
such a twit. Like I still play DC Universe Online, so I'm still stuck in this DC MMO,
awesome.
playing it for 13 years. I still love it
Listen,
though.
I've
It's
gone
fun.
I've gone in and out since day one, so I'm
That's
with you on
awesome.
that. Yeah, it's a great game. It's very underrated nowadays.
Yeah,
I feel that it's obviously gone through a lot of changes,
sure.
but
I mean,
having
how many games are out there? How many games of the first iteration are out there for 13 years, right? And
Not
still
many.
alive and still doing stuff. Not without a sequel or not, anything like that. Just a single game, right? World of Warcraft,
Right.
right?
And if you notice, they never really promoted the expansions like other games do. It's kind of just like a quick event. It's integrated.
Yeah,
Like I feel like a lot of the other games they make a big deal. It's like a new release, and I don't feel like DC has ever done that.
yeah, I don't know. It's about like means and ends, right? Like what can they do and what do they think resonates with their audience and the people and how do they acquire new folks? It's always an interesting struggle with long tail games, like jumping into a League of Legends right now. How somebody jumping in today and starting that grind in League of Legends, they got a lot to work against. And that's always the cycle with games. It's like,
Right.
when do we release a sequel? When do we do a patch? How do we onboard new people into the funnel? Because it's just like live games as a service is a whole nother ball of wax other than dropping a Spider-Man here and there, right? Single player experience, get some DLCs. That's super easy. It's like a movie. It's super easy to market and build a hype and do something with. But like long tail games as a service games, totally different. Totally different.
Right. That's true. I was going to ask you, have you ever actually attended Evo?
Oh yeah, like I came up through that. Actually, a fun story. The folks that used to run Evo back in the day, I was the first to broadcast a fighting game tournament many moons ago, and they came to see what we were doing before Evo's first broadcasted year. It was super cool. But yeah, I've been going to Evo for many years and competing and playing. Okay. Not the last couple of years because I timing and things, and I just don't play at that level anymore. But I used to love going and competing. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a favorite Evo moment over the years?
I mean, I'll share a personal moment. Like I made somebody throw their controller down once. Like I was playing. So this side, Sindel over here back in MK9. I did not play like you're supposed to play. I was a zoning idiot. Like I didn't have time to compete at that level and play that much. So I would be like, I found a way to be opposite of people like Johnny Cage and Rushdown characters. And I made a dude like literally just throw his controller down and ask me, like, is that all you're going to do? I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm going to fireball. When you come close, I'm going to send you over there. Just the way I wanted to play. I'm like, it's just an effective way to do that. And for me, that was a very personal moment. But, so many. I've seen my friends up on stage and winning big matches. And so, like, there's nothing I could call out necessarily.
That's pretty cool. I unfortunately have not had the pleasure of attending, but I used to do tournaments when I was younger. We'll show our age here. Blockbuster tournaments. I'm sure you remember those.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was a Mortal Kombat 3 winner many years ago.
That was Ultimate though, right? Wasn't it? Was that MK3? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer OG MK3, which if you know with the arcade 1-ups, we did see that in your room. It took them a long time to get that game on there because every version was always Ultimate. And for me, it just wasn't built the same,
Yeah. It was the good version, right? So like, it's fine.
Sure.
I could never, as a stick player, I could never do with my little hands. I could never do the block well efficiently in arcade.
Okay.
When it came home, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Now I have a controller and I can actually do stuff because it wasn't that complex. So I could do that.
Right. And if you remember, the emulation and the porting of that game was such a task. If you remember, especially with Shang Tsung, being able to like, I remember the PlayStation would literally load, if you remember, per character. So like you wouldn't even want to play the game with that character at that point.
That's funny.
But those games have evolved so much, and obviously MK is such a big hitter now, especially with 11 now and or 1, shall we say?
Yeah,
because we went back.
Beautiful. I just like it's just like you have to devote to really play. You have to devote enough time and resources, and now you have to watch video. It's like watching tape of football players and things like that. You've got to watch what other people are doing. You got to learn from them. We have that opportunity instead of the local arcades where you get tournament tactics and take them somewhere. It's like the ability to learn, but like the investment in time to be that good. I just don't have that drive and be able to really feel like I can do it and play well enough to keep up with my friends at least. So I'm like, or I just won't play so much. I'll just enjoy them from afar now, and I can have that disconnected appreciation now. I'm like, I love that you're doing that. Can't do it, but I love that you're doing that.
Okay. One last thing I would like to throw out for the Evo side of things. Is there a game that maybe is not part of the tournament anymore that you'd like to see come back? Because obviously sometimes they do bring back a game that was loved for a while. Obviously online components is sometimes a factor, and then licensing is another factor. But if there was one game you can bring back, would there be any?
No, like it's tough. Like I get it. Like how many people are playing, X-Men Street Fighter now competitively and can do those things? Like, I love to have the retro titles. So this year it's Third Strike and things. I like that they cycle those in, but it's really only cycled through a few of the games.
Right.
So it's just, that one's just tough for the fighting game things. Like, the community evolves and plays the new version. There's always those folks that will hang on and play Marvel 2 and things like that and have side tournaments and whatnot. But like the mainstream games, it's so hard because there has to be enough of a base, especially when you think about like an Evo, which is a participation-based program, right? And they have partners like us and other things that go in there. But like, it's about the people that want to come and play and participate, which is very different than most esports, where it's the teams that have earned their way or been invited to play and you're there to watch. This is a participatory, right, kind of event. And so you need those people that are excited about playing the game and watching that game. So you really have to pick and choose about what's going on at the moment. And so like, this is a temple year where MK just came out, right? We got the new Street Fighter stuff. Like, this is a great, great year for us to have the amount of learnings that people are going to do and showcase really well. It's super tough. Like, I wouldn't want to, Pocket Fighter. Can we have a Pocket Fighter tournament?
I'd kind of be okay with that. Or let's go back with the Mega Man fighters, But no, I get that. That makes a lot of sense.
Right? Like, I love, like, let's go old school, like PlayStation stuff. But like, yeah,
I can't believe you brought that game up.
Amazing. Game was awesome.
How about I was a big Rival Schools guy.
Love Rival Schools. I would love for them. Like, there's no reason in this world today that they'd haven't released a new Rival Schools with the technology that we have with those the current generation of consoles. It would look amazing. That would be really cool. See Batsu up there? Yes, I love it. I would love the Rival Schools.
Cool. I think we need another versus game. Would you agree?
So
any kind.
I want to, but like, I did not like the last bunch. Like, for me, it peaked at 2. Like, I did not like 3 personally as much. I didn't like whatever that Infinite stuff was.
No,
like,
I
was not a fan of those personally. Like, I like creative directors and people. I love the work and love things. It wasn't a game for me that I enjoyed. I'm not saying it's not a good game. I personally didn't feel that, and something about the OTGs and the mechanics, it just didn't resonate with me. It's my fault for being me. But I would love to see something harken back. But I bet you, like, it's like that restaurant that you used to go to as a kid and you loved, and then you go back as an adult, you're like, what am I eating? Right? It's something like that. Like, even now when I play Marvel, occasionally I play with one of my little kiddos, and like, it's just like, it's not quite the same because I haven't invested in the time. So I don't know if I want to go back. I'd rather see something new and something interesting that I might try and do. But I love crossovers. I love the crossover series.
I mean, I feel like they have evolved so much over the years that they could just make a game that's just Capcom licenses. They did it once with Capcom All-Stars, but I'm talking like bigger roster. Like, you bring in your older games. I'll bring out another one, Star Gladiator, another underrated.
Yeah. No, that was good for sure.
Well, you just have characters that you could just make another game. Like, because I think the biggest challenge is the fighting for the license too. The Marvel vs. Capcom license is so difficult.
Well, and that you have agendas too, right? So like, Marvel would want to promote the current characters and things, maybe not the nostalgic characters and stuff. So they I'll use Falcon. Like, hey, we want to put Falcon, Captain America at the forefront of things, right?
Right. Well, I feel like that's what they did with Infinite, where it was like a hybrid of MCU without formally being MCU.
Oh, Infinite was a Marvel. It was all the Marvel movie property characters and stuff, which I'm not going to fault them for. I would want that too, or storylines and comic books. So it's hard. It's a hard mix, but I thought they did a great job with it. Looked beautiful.
Awesome. So I'd like to ask, is there anything else you'd love to share about this partnership? Anything that we can look forward to as we get closer to Evo in July? Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I think like partnerships are an ongoing iteration. I think what you'll see and what we start doing with Evo now will be different than Evo next year. Because like, we're all starting up, we're trying to do all these things at once. Partnerships announced. Now we're trying to figure out how it manifests and what the things are that we want to do. And we have learnings at every event and every other partnership that we're doing. And we're looking and trying to figure out those things that make sense. But really, it's really partner led, because it's like, Evo, what makes sense for your folks? What's interesting to them? And so the onus is on them to kind of come up with some of these things and us to help support it. And so I don't know that there's anything particular that I'd be like, ooh, that. I think you'll see us working with different players. I think you'll see products. I think you'll see interesting stuff coming out. And I think between this year and next year, you'll see a lot of new stuff, because there's things that are coming out that'll be kind of post Evo too. So there'll be some things that we'll circle back with. But yeah, I mean, many years of this, hopefully. I love the long-term partnerships. You've seen some of the ones we've announced, like TSM and others. Like, it's people I've been working with for 12 or 15 years, at 4 different companies, like TSM as an example, working with them over these different properties. And so like, I like to work with people a long time and hopefully build these long-term partnerships that we see some really cool things that come out of. So yeah, nothing I'm like, ooh, nothing that, but definitely the whole.
Awesome. Well, I also think keep in mind too, these fighting games especially evolve every week. Something new, a DLC character, people gravitate towards one versus the other. So a lot can change from now to July too. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and super cool for us is seeing some of our other partnership players coming there. So like Leffen on TSM and other things, so
Right.
like coming to Evo. So we get this big connection of these different parties all playing together at the same time, which we don't see on like my traditional sports side. Like we work the 49ers and people, and like we don't usually see that kind of crossover in the same way. But now we get to have these layered partnerships connecting with each other. I think is super awesome.
Perfect. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you. I know you have a busy schedule and I know it's still early for you. So I want to thank you again for your time.
Yeah.
Definitely look forward to everything that's going to be coming. We're going to have links to both Zenni and the Evo. So we'll make sure to show everybody everything that's coming soon. And to make sure I'm going to be doing a video because your team was so nice to send this awesome care package for me to check out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to be checking that out. So stay tuned for that video in the coming week. And yeah, hope everybody has a great day. Rob, again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no,
You have a
awesome.
great day.
Thank you so much, man. Have an awesome one.
Thank you. Everybody, take care and have fun.
See you, everyone.